Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. We are at day 1465, day since Richard was murdered, premeditatedly murdered, internal, code red, by his own soldiers, murdering soldiers. This is what's going on. And you see that we just had another incident not too long ago, a soldier murdering a soldier. And in Richard's case, a little bit more complicated than that, but that's what happened. An internal after he was retaliated against continuously and severely. Why was he being retaliated? Because he was right. He was right. He was whistleblowing. He was reporting on criminal trafficking. He was reporting to Washington, D.C., he's reporting to CID, he was reporting to FBI Houston, he was reporting to CPS, which is Child Protective Services, he was reporting to, I know there's another one there, and, it got so bad that he was asking for a transfer. He was asking to be transferred out of his unit. He was under whistleblower protection, 24-hour security. But the day that he was murdered is the day that there was a breach in security. The security detail failed to report for duty, and Richard found himself vulnerable, even though he had purchased days before a pistol because he was so afraid for his life. He was calling out. He called 911 multiple times, and um, and his security failed to show up. They forcibly removed him from his bed, from his barracks room. We have a witness of that, and then they took him and they murdered him. And then there are confessions. Um, I think this whole case is starting to really break in every which way. It has been breaking, right? We have enough. Um, and if we have enough, then just think what the U.S. government has. And so it's no wonder that they had to, um, sorry, just went on to check. It's no wonder that they had to give us the declaration of death in Richard's case. And of course, um, and to meet all of their obligations on that. That's not totally finished yet. Um, that's still in works because he needs to have all his rank returned to him. He needs to be honored. They need to give us Richard's remains, which they absolutely have. They've been dismembered. He was brutally murdered. That if you're wondering why haven't they given the family Richard's remains, well, they did not want another Vanessa Guillen situation because we've even heard through the confessions and word getting out that they use chemicals on him. That's being repeated more than one person. Of course, DHS and DES, so, Department of Homeland Security, the Directorate of Emergency Services, Department of State, of course, the FBI. This is not, uh, little confessions. These are not nobody's, hearsay, or without any kind of authority or anything like that. And why do I say that? Those aren't my words, okay? That's like the CID when Nadal came forward, um, and even the cashier not taking the cashier seriously. We did. We absolutely did. And we took Nadal Baim seriously. But CID and FBI was, they were just telling us, oh, he's just nobody. He's just some guy. So that's how they like to uh, cover up and not hold people accountable. And we see that with what's going on now with what we have learned about Jonathan Ambriz. So Jonathan Caleb Ambriz, we all have confirmed that he was 143 ADA 32nd ADCOM. We know that Major General Clem Coward, who was the commanding general for 32nd, um, is up to no good, right? That he participated in the severe retaliation against Richard for no reason, nothing, nothing, y'all, nothing, okay, for nothing, for a retaliation against the whistleblowing, against the criminal trafficking. That means that to us, in our opinion, Major General Clem Coward is in on the criminal activity, okay? And he needs to be held accountable. And yet they're given these sweet little positions in these companies. And to me, it means what's going on in the company, right? That they would hire such men. Why would anybody want to hire Mealy? Why would anyone want to hire Clem Coward? Why would they want to do that? They're up to no good. They're up to no good. And you know, finding out about Jonathan Ambriz being in 143 and corroborating that, and getting all the evidence, and there's more to it because he was also West Point. He was all so if he was West Point, then that means what does Veronica Escobar know about this? What does Beto O'Rourke know about this? To get into West Point. And then to work for DHS or be involved with the VA. He's a disabled veteran, Jonathan Ambriz says. And, and he's cybersecurity, DHS. He has a very extensive CV, a very extensive. He's been given every opportunity, every privilege. He is a privileged individual. And, he was, doing all these LLCs. The LLCs for property are very interesting because it connects dots, y'all. Everything is breaking. And in Richard's case, because they're all connected. The Ambriz with Danae Katzen, with Rosemary Valdez Garcia, with Leilani Hart and James Courtney Hart and Dallas Hart, and with the Walmart case, and with Bill Hicks, Bill Hicks, the usurper. He's not just a usurper. He's a really rotten guy. He is, he's up to no good. And he has conflicts of interest that would blow you away. Absolutely blow you away. And so you might ask, oh my gosh, why do they want to hide this, right? Why do they want to hide this? The criminal trafficking makes them a load of money. And a lot of people are compromised. A lot of people in high places are compromised, like Major General Clem Coward. Okay. And so, of course, if you have someone that's in DHS, Department of Homeland Security, if you have someone at the Veterans, if you have someone in the FBI, if you have someone in the CID, if you have multiple people in the CID, if you have people in the IG, if you have, people in the JAG, because one thing that I've learned through this is the people controlling a lot of this is the lawyers, right? The JAG, the lawyers. They're, I just can't even explain it in the, well, yes, I can, in the meetings that we attended. It never really seemed that the generals that were in attendance were leading the meeting. It always seemed that the JAG did, P.P. McGee, JAG. Um, he seemed to be the real general. He seemed to be the one that was, you know, uh, making the directions or what was happening. The dog and pony show be a dog and pony show. So we're getting some information back, of course, from uh, the Borstar. We're getting some information back from the whole law perspective of this, and that's coming in through the recent arrests. The recent arrests that seem to also be an orchestration. Um, and I know I'm all over the place here because uh, the case has that many connections. And Jonathan Ambriz has that many connections because of his LLCs. He was, cybersecurity. Everybody wants a good computer person, right? A good cyber person. Let me do a business and let me hide myself, or let me be incognito. Let me be Mr. X. Really, I would love to know the conversations between Jules Tuganon Chan and Jonathan Ambriz, because um, absolutely Fit Fam El Paso, um, and they didn't do it alone, of course, but there was absolutely some discussions behind the scenes, in our opinion, to say, look, you've got to be the scapegoat here, right? We've got to protect you. Somehow your connections are so much because of the LLCs, because of the property LLCs, because of, all of the legal documents for all of those LLCs. We need to mislead, like Danae, like your wife, went to the holidays and misled them and told them lies, right? Told them lies. Jonathan Slavitt and all of this. I'm thinking, wow, he needs to come forward. Jonathan Slavitt, you need to come forward. You need to come forward. You absolutely know things. And, you don't want to be, because I really feel like mixed feelings with that because of this cartel involvement in all of this, because of the big green machine being on the wrong side of justice, being on the wrong side of defending our Constitution, in Richard's case. And of course, Jonathan Slavitt and all of his information was calling out for help with that, right? He was saying it, that he was being used and they were lying about him and all of this. Um, and I can see that he's feared for his life and that. Well, I think that time is past. I think we're in a different situation today. And I think he needs to come forward. I really do. We have the declaration of death, and we would like our son's remains. And your whatever connection that with Danae Katzen, with Jonathan Ambriz, um, with the whole cover-up, the cover-up of the murder of Richard. Clearly, Danae was involved in the cover-up of the murder of Richard, and maybe more. And the same thing with Jonathan Ambriz. And so what the Fit Femme El Paso did, and I can't stress this enough, is they tried to frame a false narrative, a false picture, tried to paint a false picture of who Jonathan Ambriz is. They didn't mention his CV, none of it. And it's out there. It's as big as Dallas. He's been featured in the media for, his ability to pull $100,000 together to start an LLC. Um, and multiple, and that he is in cybersecurity, and that his family does have connections. It's all out there. And so for the media to exhaust their what would be the right, they headlined him. They headlined Jonathan Ambriz and Danae Katzen to frame a false narrative to mislead this case that is connected to the Walmart mass shooting. Okay? That's what they did. Because they left out to the public that he was Delta Battery. Well, I shouldn't say Delta Battery. I should say 143. 143. He was 143. 32nd ATCOM. Richard was Delta Battery 143. 32nd ATCOM. They left that out. They left out the fact that he was a disabled veteran, and very close, working with the veterans, I guess cheerleading for disabled veterans, and for DHS, for cybersecurity, for his LLCs in this security business, and more, and in the property business. He's no slouch. He is no slouch. And they failed to mention that. Matter of fact, if I was Jonathan Ambriz, I would do a cease and desist on Femme El Paso and Fox News and MSN and all that and say, why are you smearing me? Why are you smearing my wife? The way they did it is to make him look like a chunky, slouchy, con artist. That hurts the community. And absolutely he hurts the community, but it's at a much, much higher level. And, so it really is the MO for the media, right? Is to do this hypnosis. It's kind of like with Leilani Hart. They want everyone to think that Leilani Hart is like some kind of hula girl. But that is, if you stop there, you're not getting the full picture. She is a confirmed, convicted criminal, right? Confirmed, convicted criminal with a very messed up psyche on, and she's also Mormon. She's Mormon, and she's reporting that her family is engaged in incest. She even had it notarized, and sexually assaulting a 7-year-old in her master bedroom, multiple members of her family doing that, or multiple members of her household, I should say that. That was all accepted by the FBI. That was discussed, further corroborated in communications between her and her now ex-husband, James Courtney Hart, the long-standing sexual abuse on the children in the family, the incest in the family, illegal gun purchases, the threats, you know. So you can't just stop and say, oh, okay, she does some hula dancing. No. And she's involved in LLCs. And that's also, um, well, what we're being informed is that that's in connection with Nadal Baim, this uh, Western frontier trading really needs to be investigated, where they're selling ammunition, can provide $3 million worth of ammunition. Richard to the El Paso Police Department, and Richard is reporting criminal trafficking, and the generals are telling us that they're, under audit because, the barracks were flush with weapons. Um, and that was then corroborated by Dirty Agent Marlon Soto. It wasn't just Richard's barracks; it was the whole Fort Bliss. Okay, that doesn't make me feel better. That makes me feel worse. So that's on record. Um, so this case is absolutely, because of the confessions that are coming out, and because of this breaking with Jonathan Ambriz. And I think, the question is, was the news coverage of him and Danae as, local thieves and con artists, um, and putting the terrible pictures of them up there to frame this false narrative? Well, it's not a false narrative. It's like, you can say Leilani Hart's a hula girl, and that's true, right? But you're not giving the whole picture. You're not giving the whole picture. And the whole picture changes everything. And Bob Moore used Leilani Hart as an unreliable source. He used Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia as an unreliable source. He referred to Belen Roche. She's an unreliable source. So, and you can go on to say there are conflicts of interest. Their conflicts of interest make them an unreliable source. And Jonathan Ambriz has he's Bliss Avenue. He's Bliss Avenue. He's Bill Hicks, connecting with the lawyers of the Walmart. He's connected to the Mormon church. He's connected to 143, which is connected to Major General Clem Coward. He's connected through the LLCs. He's, and his connection with Bill Hicks, that's pretty disturbing. Because Bill Hicks is then connected to the Ortegas. And then being Bliss Avenue, that whole Bliss Avenue, and being given all the privileges because he's with the Mormons, all the privileges, and then up to no good. Absolutely criminal. And for them are they protecting him? I believe that all the news was protecting him. Because he never had, I don't think he ever spent a day in the prison, right? They just destroyed his character. That's what they did. You can get away with whatever he did in Richard's case. You can get away with that. That's better. You just have to have your character destroyed. So they absolutely went full on to destroy his character, and and Danae's character, right? And that was the better choice. So what was the alternative? That's what we would like to know. Because we're hearing a lot of things. We're hearing a lot of things. Um, and it's not nice. And it all needs to be investigated, and we want our son's remains. They were involved in all kinds of business schemes, and we know that those business schemes at the border um, involve people that are compromised at pretty high levels. It's a lot of money, y'all. And now with the recent arrests and everything being connected together with the cartel, right? Um, and that's all coming out. They they cross paths, they work together. It's so much money. All of this criminal trafficking, it is just one big black hole where you sell your soul. And we have 70, what was it, 69, 70. Last night I excuse me, I had just read through the article and I was thinking 49, but then I read through it again today and it was said 69. So you're talking about 70 children a day coming over the border. That's 500 a week. Easy. Where are they going? What's happening to them? And then we know with El Mayo and El Chapo, the fentanyl problem that's killing people. And that has affected our family. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I think it's affected everybody's family. So it's extended family, but it has affected our family. And then, of course, you have the weapons trafficking and, the brown tip bullets that are not registered. Um, and then you have the military saying, "Oh, we are really short of ammunition, right? We're short of munition. Why? Why?" And then, they want a lot of money for these contracts and everything. And here we have trucks being stopped at the border full of munitions being smuggled. And I would like to see the investigation results on all of that. I think we have a very compromised system right now, and because we have a lack of accountability. It's not that we have a dirty system, we have a lack of accountability. There needs to be oversight and accountability, serious oversight and accountability. And of course, in Richard's case, being a capital murder case, um, dismembering a soldier, a whistleblower, the death penalty needs to be on the table. That lethal injection needs to be on the table. And I know with Bill Hicks, it's sickening. He's a usurper in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. And, that's going to impede that. You got murderers getting away with murder and hurting the community. And there's so many people that are compromised that it's going to take more than just us. God's going to do it. And what were the readings today? We go by the 1928 Book of Common Prayer for like a little direction and what verses to read. And today was all about corruption in the government. And God doesn't tolerate it. He gets to a point he just doesn't tolerate it. And it's not um, people like us that stop the corruption. It's God does it. God stops it. What was it? Today's reading 23,000. He just totally went, you know. He's the master. He's the he gives us the air we breathe. So I really think that there's a lot of people, the Mendez, of course, Jonathan Slavitt in this case, because, Danae used him. Maybe he wanted to be used. I don't know. I don't know if he's part of it. All I know is that we know who he is, and he was in Richard's unit, and he absolutely knows things. And so does Jonathan Ambriz. And so does Danae Katzen. And of course, we did get information that said that there were plea deals and immunity and all of that. But we weren't notified of any of that. So if that was done behind our back, and that's all water under the bridge, as my husband goes, hey, that ship sailed. That ship sailed. We're talking about the brutal murder of our son, and then they covered it up, and they covered it up by trying to smear him, by trying to frame a false narrative around the character of our son, who was always right and was doing the right thing and was not compromised. And they left him unprotected. They breached his security. And they, from his own general, retaliated against him. So that Major General Clem Coward is in on this, and no general that has a missing soldier doesn't contact the family. I mean, I've never even talked to him. That's how rotten he is. He's rotten to the core. Just like James Eisenhower, who just left. Rotten to the core. And that means that all of our volunteer sons and daughters are at risk. That's what that means. Because they're compromised. They're serving foreign and domestic enemies. They're not. We have 44 four-star generals and admirals that are serving foreign and domestic enemies and not defending the Constitution. That's what that means. So, what else did I want to discuss? Just this false framing of Leilani, of course, Jonathan, and the common denominator that they, like 90%, I think, they're Mormons. And the Mormons are very wealthy, very powerful. They have the lawyers. The lawyers are there. The lawyers are involved, and not for good. And not for good. And the whole thing with the cartels, that will come out this week. That will come out more this week. We're finding out more and more information this week. But I will tell you this. This Jonathan Ambriz thing is big. It's very big. And I don't know how they're going to answer that investigation. Because when they look at the LLCs, they're going to say, oh my God, help us. Help us. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. Thank you so much on this Sunday. Um, you know, when you're in a situation like we're in, you don't take breaks. When you're in an emergency situation, that's what God says. You don't leave a lamb lost. You don't leave a lamb in a hole. In emergency situations, you work. You work constantly. You work and you pray. And to pray is to work, and to work is to pray. And that absolutely we've been doing. And, um, it's all coming out. We're exposing it. And so, and I can tell you this, there's some good people there that are doing the right thing. We got the declaration of death. And so, and we did get, we've been working hard to get our son's remains, working on the next steps with our CAO to get Richard's remains, to get Richard, his rank reinstated, the punishments um, um, taken away, him getting reinstated, I guess you can say. So we've been working hard behind the scenes with that, and we're also doing the state bar complaints and many more criminal complaints, and recording through the agencies, not only on our own computer, not only on our own timelines and boards and this and that, but we're recording it with all the agencies. They all have it. We're giving it all to them. So we want this accountability. And we've been told we can't get it. So many people are like, oh, Tillman can't get it. Lavina Johnson parents couldn't get it. Even Vanessa Guillen's parents couldn't get it. But we'll see. We'll see. This Jonathan Ambriz thing, yeah, it really does uncover FitFem El Paso, Fort Bliss, Homeland Security, the Veterans Affairs, Bliss Avenue, the Walmart case, Bill Hicks, the usurper of the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. Yeah, it really, there's so much. The Mormon lawyer, it really exposes a lot. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.